Yeah, slam her to the floor. Slam her through the floor. Y'all want to play dirty? Sophie gonna hold it down.
I'm clapping Sophie Cunningham off the floor. We're clapping Sophie Cunningham off the floor right now. We're clapping her off the floor. She's getting high-fived off the floor right now.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball.
Sophie Cunningham steps up, grabs her, knocks her down, gets a flagrant 2 for this. They end up calling.
Look at Sophie. She's waiting for it. She's waiting for it, fam. And then I see why Allen got kicked out. Allen went for the throw.
This was all game, folks. All game. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were getting checked all game.
Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose.
Sophie Cunningham gives a take foul, a very hard one. She straight up tackled JC Sheldon.
What just happened on that court will be remembered for a long time. The Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun game started off slow, but it turned into a full-blown war. And at the heart of it, Sophie Cunningham stepping up and sending a message the entire league heard loud and clear.
Sophie Cunningham. At the end of the game, JC Sheldon is going for a fast break layup and Sophie Cunningham is running with her. And I remember in my head, like it happened in a split second and I said, oh.
In a moment that stunned the crowd and shook the game, Cunningham stepped up and delivered a shocking hit that many are calling straight up revenge for Caitlin Clark. What we witnessed tonight was pure fire. Sophie Cunningham wasn't playing around. She straight up took revenge for Caitlin Clark with a hit so hard, the Connecticut Sun going to be feeling that one for weeks.
Sophie Cunningham gives a take foul, a very hard one. She straight up tackled JC Sheldon. Don't get it twisted. That was not a hard foul. She tackled her. That was a dirty play, in my opinion. She did exactly what she wanted to do. Now, even though JC Sheldon, she leaned forward and she really got into Sophie's chest. And Sophie put her arms around her and drug her to the ground. Because Sophie didn't fall down. She threw JC Sheldon down.
Sophie came with heat, and what happened next had everyone in the arena and online losing their minds. A shocking foul, hands flying, and a moment that might just go down as one of the most unforgettable clashes in WNBA history.
Look at Sophie. She's waiting for it. She's waiting for it, fam. And then I see why Allen got kicked out. Allen went for the throw. Allen went for Sophie's throat. Literally have her hand on her neck right there. Oh my goodness. But she's focused on Sheldon. So she reaches for Sheldon, grabs the back of her head. Is Sophie handling both of them? Oh my goodness. It looked like Sophie might have one hand on Allen, the other hand holding on to Sheldon's hair or the back of her head. Oh my goodness.
A message that said, we're not backing down anymore. In a game packed with elbows, shoves, and pure grit, one moment stole the spotlight. When Caitlin Clark was getting hit, grabbed, and harassed all game long, it was Sophie Cunningham who finally said, enough.
And eventually, Sophie Cunningham had enough. Oh yeah. Sophie Cunningham had enough. Folks, shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We wanted somebody like this that said, I'm tired of this. I'm trying to step up. It's time to step up. We're not going to get punked anymore. We're not going to get pushed around anymore. We're not going to get treated like a little sister anymore, like a little brother anymore. We are going to start being the ones that say, you know what? We're not going to start the fight.
It was supposed to be just another intense WNBA matchup. But what unfolded on that court was anything but ordinary. Emotions boiled over, old college rivalries reignited, and the moment everyone's talking about Sophie Cunningham stepping up, taking matters into her own hands and delivering a hit so shocking, it stopped the entire arena in its tracks.
Came out and thought it was all good, but who was waiting for her? Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham steps up, grabs her, knocks her down, gets a flagrant 2 for this. They end up calling.
The crowd erupted, the commentators couldn't hold back, and the refs? Well, let's just say they lost control. This wasn't just a foul, it was a statement, and it's got everyone asking, was this revenge or was it justice?
Like, the commentators are calling out the WNBA. Like, Like, this is... I've never seen this. The commentators are literally saying the refereeing is bad for basketball. Like, I've never heard anything like this before. I've never seen anything like this before.
Sophie Cunningham just snapped, and this time, it was all about revenge. With just a minute left on the clock, tensions boiled over, fists flew, and it all ties back to how Caitlin Clark was treated. If you thought that eye gouge and hip check earlier was the end of it, think again. What Sophie did next? Oh, they're going to remember this one.
This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. We'll go. We'll go. So there's that.
The game was dragging. The first half had fans yawning, calling it boring basketball until suddenly everything exploded. It all started when J.C. Sheldon was guarding Caitlin Clark. She swiped at her, and not just anywhere, she caught Caitlin right in the eyeball. Caitlin, clearly frustrated, gave Sheldon a slight nudge to get her out of her face. But things escalated fast.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere.
The Indiana Fever walked away with an 88-71 win over the Connecticut Sun. But that final score quickly faded into the background. From the very beginning, tension was brewing. You could feel it on the court, the physicality, the stares, the bumps after the whistle. Coach Stephanie White even said it. We knew this was going to happen. The game had that energy. And the referees, they lost control early. Missed calls, phantom fouls, and a complete lack of consistency.
But the only thing everybody want to talk about is the fight, right? Now, this wasn't just the pushing and shoving thing. In my opinion, this was as close as you can get to a fight without somebody throwing some blows. Now, first, before we get into some of the video footage, let's hear Stephanie White and her thoughts on what happened.
When Caitlin got knocked to the floor multiple times, no ejections, no whistles, just silence. Marina Mabrey, still in the game after throwing shots. J.C. Sheldon, out there hacking. It was chaos, and Caitlin was left out there with no protection, game after game. The tension was building. Everyone could see it. And then Sophie stepped in. Fee.
JC Sheldon, you out there doing all that hacking, up 1 for 4, 0 for 3. You was minus 22, 2 points. Like, stop it. Stop it. Y'all stink. And you guys are hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all looking for attention in all the wrong places, man. Let your skills and your game do. See, that's the problem. Y'all not good enough.
So much went down in this game, but let's start with Sophie and JC. Now, you could tell something was brewing from the jump. After the little scuffle between Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon, it honestly felt like Sophie had her eyes set on JC, like she wanted a piece of her. That tension? Oh, it was real. And then it happened. On a fast break, J.C. Sheldon snatched a steal and was heading for the basket until Sophie stepped in. Then it escalated. Midway through the third quarter, Marina Mabrey came flying in like an NFL safety, checking Caitlin Clark to the ground. No flop, no acting, just a straight-up full-speed hit, and still no ejection, no justice, just more grabbing, more dirty play, and a star player getting beat down with no one stepping in.
Sophie Cunningham. J.C. Sheldon going up for a layup, puts her head down like a running back, exploding through the hole. Sophie Cunningham wraps her up, tosses her little ass to the ground, says, "What's good?" And then Lindsay Allen goes after her along with J.C. Sheldon and Sophie Cunningham. Look at Sophie Cunningham taking it 2-on-1. Sophie Cunningham going 2-on-1 underneath the basket. Sophie Cunningham, salute.
JC Sheldon, my goodness, dog. My goodness. Now, honestly, I felt like Sophie might have wanted a piece of JC after the Caitlin Clark and JC kind of scuffle going on, right? Then this happened, okay? The fast break, you see Sheldon taking it after getting a steal. Sophie wraps her arms around her. Now, this is normal, okay?
The physicality was off the charts. Sheldon didn't just guard Clark, she targeted her. A direct eye poke that brought flashbacks of past cheap shots. Moments later, Marina Mabrey shoved Caitlin to the ground and earned herself a technical foul. And through it all, Caitlin stayed in the game, literally and mentally, but you could see it building. Something was about to erupt. It all started when JC Sheldon got up, but Sophie Cunningham wasn't backing down. Without missing a beat, Sophie went straight at her, wrapping her up around the neck in a move that had the crowd and commentators stunned. Someone had already said it. Sophie was the only one who would have done something back. And she did. This wasn't hesitation. It wasn't a mistake. Sophie got her and got her good.
Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham steps up, grabs her, knocks her down, gets a flagrant 2 for this, they end up calling. Sophie takes a step back, gathers herself. JC Sheldon kind of gets up, and another teammate, I don't recall the young lady's name, tried to get in Sophie's face. Sophie fights him back. They're running each other, and they start choking each other. And, you know, Cunningham's kind of in control, it seemingly, because Sheldon's head is getting, like, pushed down.
I feel like Sophie Cunningham was the only one who would have done something back if she was on the floor. Sophie Cunningham got her. Sophie Cunningham got her. And I mean this when I say this. This would have been a flagrant 2, except for the fact that they allowed Marina Mabrey did what she did. This possibly should be a flagrant 2. She got her around the neck. And then JC Sheldon gets up. And then Sophie immediately goes at JC Sheldon, grabs her.
This all goes back to the moment the referees and the WNBA completely dropped the ball. It started when JC Sheldon gave Caitlin Clark what can only be called the DJ Carrington eye gouge. And just when you thought that was enough, Marina Mabrey stormed in like a street thug and laid a brutal hip check on Clark, a hit straight out of the Kennedy Carter playbook. You can clearly see Clark trying to create space, and then bam, the shove, the twist, the total disregard for sportsmanship.
We got JC Sheldon right here. She's going to give Caitlin Clark the Dejanay Carrington eye gouge. And then Marina Mabrey's going to come in like some thug off the street and pull a Kennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark. Let's watch
Caitlin
this.
Clark is trying to create some.
I'm going to turn this down. There's the eye gouge, okay? And there's Mabrey right there with the hip check, the shove. That's the eye gouge. And then right there. Good God Almighty.
Meanwhile, the tension was climbing fast. This wasn't just a one-off moment, it had history. Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon? This rivalry runs deep, all the way back to their college days, with Caitlin holding a 12-0 record over Sheldon. And in this game, JC Sheldon didn't let up, guarding Caitlin full court, face guarding, blitzing screens, playing physical, grabbing her arms. Caitlin, a star known for her sharpshooting and swagger, wasn't getting her usual calls. Her frustration started to show. The body language slipped. The complaints to refs picked up. Then it got heated. Sheldon caught Caitlin across the face, not intentional, but it hit a nerve. Clark responded with a stiff arm, pushing off, and Sheldon wasn't having it.
This is a matchup, if you guys aren't familiar. Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon, of all people, I feel like this is the rivalry. These are two players who do not seem to like one another at all. And this goes all the way back to college. And when Iowa was going up against Ohio State, Caitlin Clark is 12-0 against JC Sheldon. And what we saw in this Connecticut Sun game was JC Sheldon picking Caitlin Clark up full court. It was back to rookie year defensive strategies against Caitlin Clark. Guarding her full court, face guarding her, blitzing her on every single screen, double teaming her. Like, that was the Connecticut Sun defensive strategy for Caitlin Clark, and JC Sheldon was in her face the entire time.
Sophie Cunningham wasn't having it. The moment came and she made it count. When Allen and Sheldon tried to get slick, Sophie came up with a steal and then boom slammed JC Sheldon straight to the floor. No hesitation, no mercy. That was a message. You touch Caitlin, you deal with me. The crowd erupted and everyone watching knew Sophie was about that life. She didn't just defend her teammate, she made a statement. You want to play dirty? Sophie's going to hold it down. She was fired up, fearless, and fully ready for war.
Sophie.
By Allen, and Sheldon comes up with the steal.
Yeah. Slam her to the floor. Slam her through the floor. Y'all want to play dirty? Sophie gonna hold it down. Sophie is going to hold it down. Stephanie White, you make sure Sophie's in the game every time Caitlin's in now. Just in case anything pop off, she there ready to go.
Sophie, she was ready. You could see it, she was waiting for it. JC got up, came straight for her, and before you knew it, Allen jumped in too, going straight for Sophie's throat. Literally had her hand around her neck. But Sophie didn't flinch. One hand on Allen, the other on Sheldon's head. It was wild. Sophie looked like she was handling both of them at once, controlling the chaos like a true enforcer.
Yo, then Sophie just holding her like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Oh my goodness, fam. I mean, literally. Just holding her and talking to her. Just giving her a good talking. Just giving her a good talking, man. Oh my goodness. Now, honestly, I think this is a rivalry, man. This is a rivalry right here.
With under a minute left in the game, the moment everyone had been waiting for finally came. The arena was tense. Caitlin Clark had taken hits all night, and still no one had answered back. But then Sophie Cunningham stepped up. JC Sheldon drove hard to the rim like a running back exploding through the hole. But Sophie wasn't having it. She wrapped her up, tossed her to the ground, and stared her down like a warrior sending a message. Then here comes Lindsay Allen charging in, and what does Sophie do? She takes them both on, 2-on-1. No fear, no hesitation.
It's Sophie Cunningham. Salute. 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 Sophie Cunningham did her jail son. I can't let you get close, Vanderlei. I can't let you get close. Oh, I love to see it. I love to see it. Again, folks, there comes a time where you got to stand up for yourself. There comes a time when you get bullied and you get bullied and you get bullied and your mom's like, no, just walk away. Just leave it alone. Ignore it. They'll eventually let you. But the bullies don't let you go. The bullies don't leave you alone. The bullies just see that as more weakness, so they continue to bully. They continue to bully. They continue to bully. And then eventually, you need somebody, or you need a moment where you're willing to step up and say, bump all this.
On a fast break, JC Sheldon thought she had a clear path, but waiting for her, Sophie Cunningham. Without hesitation, Sophie stepped up, delivered a hard hit, and sent Sheldon crashing to the floor. The arena erupted. The refs handed Sophie a flagrant 2, and chaos followed. Teammates got in each other's faces, bodies flew, and suddenly it wasn't just a game, it was a battle. They started choking each other, literally. And in that wild mess, one thing became clear. Sophie wasn't just making a play, she was making a statement. She was standing up for Caitlin Clark in the most explosive way possible.
This is a way, in Sophie Cunningham's case, someone stepping up for Caitlin Clark almost like never before, immediately targeting the person that was targeting them. And I feel like JC Sheldon was clearly targeting Caitlin Clark most of this game.
Sophie didn't need to be the enforcer. She didn't need to take one for the team, but she felt like she had to because JC Sheldon wasn't ejected when she should have been. And Marina Mabrey, she blindsided Caitlin Clark, hit her on the ground while she wasn't even looking, and all she got was a single technical foul. Not even a flagrant. It wasn't just a scuffle, it was a statement, a response to the league's inaction. The Indiana Fever had finally had enough, and Sophie wasn't going to let what happened to Caitlin Clark be ignored. But just when it looked like justice might finally be served, questions rose: did Sophie get ejected? And if so, how is it that Marina Mabrey wasn't?
Sophie Cunningham doesn't have to try take one for the team. Sophie doesn't have to take one for the team. Sophie doesn't have to feel like she needs to get revenge on JC Sheldon. Sophie doesn't have to be an enforcer if the referees just ejected JC Sheldon when they should have ejected her. It is not the standard that was set. And by the way, if the Marina Mabrey one was an ejection, that's an ejection. That's ejection. I actually don't even mind. But the referees can't now say that's an ejection when that is less than the Marina Mabrey one.
Sophie Cunningham is going back to the locker room, and I'm wondering, I don't know if she just got kicked out, but if they kicked her out and they did not kick Marina Mabrey out, then holy shit, because that's the next thing we got to get to. Mabrey, for that incident, that Kennedy Carter vicious slam to the ground she just had on Caitlin Clark, they did not throw her out of this game.
Sophie Cunningham didn't just foul J.C. Sheldon, she made a statement. If the refs won't protect Caitlin Clark, her teammates will. Messing with Caitlin Clark comes with consequences. This wasn't just about one play, it was a turning point. And you better believe the Connecticut Sun will remember this. Sophie Cunningham, salute to you. When nobody else stepped up, you did. You held it down for Caitlin Clark and made sure the message was clear. This team won't back down. That's the kind of teammate every squad needs. Man, what a wild game. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just playing, she was sending a message. Holding J.C. Sheldon like, what you gonna do? That's enforcer energy right there. No punches, just control. A real one looking out for Caitlin Clark and showing she's not the one to mess with.
It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure JC. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it.
So if not for nothing, she ended up with 20 points. She had a really good game. But you know what? I credit J.C. Sheldon for showing how to guard her.
Sophie Cunningham, shout out to you for holding it down. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We need to be showering her with praise. Hit her on all her social medias. Tell her how much we love her.
Sophie, I think she was waiting on her, man. I think she wanted a piece of her so she can calm her down, man. And honestly, holding her there, just, hey, what you gonna do, man?
Sophie Cunningham didn't just defend a teammate, she lit a fire under her entire squad. That hit wasn't just retaliation, it was a turning point. The message is clear. You mess with Caitlin Clark, you deal with all of us. This wasn't just a game, it was a message. Sophie Cunningham stood up, Caitlin Clark stood tall, and the whole league took notice. Now the big question is, what happens next? Will there be suspensions, fines, or a shift in how stars like Caitlin are protected? And just like that, Sophie Cunningham was ejected, clapped off the floor, high-fived by her teammates, and etched into the memory of every fan watching.
Finally, we have somebody. There is some type of proof with this team that says, all right.
Because they're going to have to deal out, fines. There may be suspensions that come from this game, which kind of sucks if Sophie ends up suspended because they need her right now.
I'm clapping Sophie Cunningham off the floor. We're clapping Sophie Cunningham off the floor right now. We're clapping her off the floor. She's getting high-fived off the floor right now.
Caitlin Clark dropped 20 points, Sophie Cunningham fought on the boards, and the Fever sent a statement the WNBA won't forget. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Holy smokes. Peace, I'm out. Till next time, thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You're watching Black and White Sports.